Hello everyone. Um, for my final video report, as I mentioned in my previous video, I will be discussing the topic of how Jacinda Ardern and the New Zealand government leaders interact and used social media for the benefit of decreasing COVID spread in the country. In addition to talking about where New Zealand currently stands in regards to COVID and vaccinations, and what the future could possibly look like for New Zealand, and maybe even the world. Firstly, how did Jacinda Ardern and the New Zealand government interact and use social media? Well, the role that social media played in combating COVID was actually really good. The New Zealand government's choice in using social media was a smart decision. Although it was simple, it became a crucial aspect that greatly assisted in preventing community transmission. During my research, I came across an article that stated, strong leaders, both elected politicians and civil servants, played major roles in the successful communication. This article was basically talking about how the government had approached the COVID situation quite quickly, and the steps they took into creating a plan that involved the citizens. For New Zealand, the fight against COVID-19 was largely a communications campaign. As said by John Walsh, a senior public servant who led the communication part of the government response, we knew right from the start that our way through this was getting people to do the right thing. And one way you do that is you communicate well. Basically, what that means is that the government were able to we're trying to figure out a way to share important and updated information about COVID with all of New Zealand. All New Zealanders. And not just New Zealand, obviously, but New Zealanders value their freedom and can be quite individualistic. John Walsh also said to come up with a plan that will keep panic from arising within the community comes from the success of a national lockdown. Comes from the success of participation of the entire country. To achieve this, the government came up with a website that coordinates easier with communicating to all New Zealanders. This website is called Unite Against COVID-19. The website is the government's single source of truth for information on the pandemic. It goes throughout the radio, television, and all sorts of digital media. In regards to the approach, New Zealand governments took a different route. They wanted to focus in on how it would affect the people's daily lives and steps they could take to protect each other. However, in the US, illustrators who planned to communicate with their citizens said their aim was to help people picture the threat while out in public, in colours chosen to create a feeling of alarm. Now, government had quickly organised the principle of their campaign, Unite Against COVID-19. This was to be set up as a standalone brand to serve as a singular platform for all official communique through the pandemic. That extended to team colours, the now iconic yellow and white stripes, which were quickly adopted as unifying symbol of the national response. The shade was chosen for being attention-grabbing without stoking alarm. Likewise, I agree with that too. The Unite presence presents itself, or shows up on Facebook and Instagram, acting as a customer service channel. And since March of last year, governments were consistently checking notifications, and the staff have responded directly to more than 40,000 comments. It was a super effective and simpler solution so that New Zealanders were able to adapt quickly to the new reality. And it created a sense of cohesive and ubiquitous response that many New Zealanders felt part of. Businesses, schools, and community groups used the Unite branding on their own pandemic advice as well. And yeah. For this last part, Arden took, even Jacinda Ardern, took pathways on her own in some ways that kept New Zealanders having continuous positive mindset. From a reading by Praveen Menon, something, Ardern's online messages keep spirits up in New Zealand's coronavirus lockdown. Ardern took to Facebook and Instagram, posted several updates about COVID-19. She also went live streaming from her house, and it felt comforting to all New Zealanders, as if Jacinda Ardern herself was close with every single one of the citizens of New Zealand, and it was really good. They could feel the honesty and compassion that she was trying to share through her live streams, and it was successful, and it was good too. Okay, moving on to my next topic. Where does New Zealand currently stand in regards to COVID? And later, vaccinations. In regards to COVID, the consistent containment of cases a day have remained the same throughout the year since the last outbreak in August last year. People are walking around no mask. Social distancing isn't even a bother. But the thing that Jacinda Ardern really wants people to take importance to is that having precautions is a good thing. It's better to be safe than obviously to get sick. Anyhow, New Zealand recently decided on opening borders to Australia, and not long after, due to an unexpected occurrence of another virus strain in Sydney, flights have been suspended with potential extensions if necessary. According to Minister Chris Hipkins, health officials needed more time to evaluate the situation in Australia. Yeah. Luckily it was close for Hipkins to restrict further travels. However, since cases were found in Sydney alone, people were permitted to travel to other locations in Australia. A recent discovery about Joseph Gordon-Levitt, a well-known film star, had informed the world where he now lives on The Tonight Show. He moved from LA to Wellington last year to escape the pandemic, as well as continue his production work. He expressed his opinion in regards to New Zealand's effective COVID-19 response, being blown away by Kiwis' hard work in keeping COVID-19 out of the country. He said the reason why he moved was, he said his family, that is, couldn't find a way that felt safe for him and his family. So they went to New Zealand. In his interview, he used the word lucky. Lucky to be able to walk around freely amongst the community with no need for a mask, unless, of course, needed. His words exactly were, "I feel really lucky." Moving on to vaccinations. Recently, vaccination availability has become a topic to discuss. with constant tests being scheduled every day in the US, New Zealand has yet to give vaccination to all citizens of New Zealand, and the difference between the amount of people in the US and New Zealand, big difference. Just the size alone is different. Yeah. Anyhow, although this is true, Arden still had priority of receiving vaccinations. Even though they came late, her priority was to receive these vaccinations as quick as she can, as long as they followed the health and medicine laws that New Zealand has. She made arrangements to buy vaccines last year, and within 4 months she received the first load and authorised the vaccine for use in New Zealand. Healthcare workers, essential workers, and those most at risk will be first to get vaccinated in the second quarter of the year, while the general population will be vaccinated in the second half of the year. Lastly, moving on to my last topic, what will the future look like for New Zealand and possibly the world? New Zealand's counter to the global pandemic outbreak was a success, but what is it looking like for them now? What are the possibilities arising for New Zealand in the near or far future? I decided to expand my horizons a bit by posing the question, what does the future look like for New Zealand and possibly the world? The reason why I decided to include this aspect, since our new reality, COVID that is, has become a predicament that can be controlled due to the fact that vaccinations. Will we be able to go back to before COVID? This is a rather broad question to answer. However, there are two potential answers that I came up with, which were questions and answers, if that makes sense. But anyhow, firstly, how were our lives spent before COVID? Since COVID is not the only disease, illness, or highly contagious that society comes up against all the time. And secondly, why would we go back to how it was before, since society has come to a point of solving the spreading of any sort of disease, not just COVID? During my research, I was fortunate to come across a website that consists of potential steps into a better future for New Zealand. Moving forward, an opportunity to reset. Now, these are steps that I found that New Zealand can take for a better future or safer future. After the pandemic, the number of businesses that closed and jobs that were lost amounted to quite a lot. Several other businesses were able to shift to virtual participation, and while others just shut down. Fortunately, New Zealand has contained and controlled the spread of COVID within the community. They have evidently spent their time enjoying their days as businesses began to reopen. Many are now able to create a line between health and economy. Right now, there's an opportunity to rebalance and reshape New Zealand's future in these unprecedented, I'm going to use a different word, in these upcoming times. If we want to achieve a sustainable and net zero emissions future for New Zealand, we will need to take the following 5 steps below. First, vision and leadership. A clear, consistent, and predictable vision for New Zealanders. Second, information and communication. Obviously trying to get the word across to all New Zealanders. Third, technology. Using technology whether it's digital media, computer, television, any sort of technology that will assist in preventing the spread of COVID. Fourth, revisiting finance and investment, making sure that all New Zealanders are taken care of financially, and lastly, collaboration, working together from governments to businesses to individuals, allows the maximization of resources, ideas, and fundings. And I thought those are really good ideas for a safer future for New Zealand. And in summary, the COVID-19 pandemic has provided a profound opportunity for reassessing health, social, and economic functioning in Aotearoa, New Zealand. It has population health. The COVID-19 response provides a model for responding to a wide range of tough societal challenges, including the climate change emergencies and growing social inequities. Experiencing the kind of fundamental shift that requires us as businesses, iwi, tribes, and government organisations to collaborate, to rethink, and to reset. New Zealand's success under Ardern's leadership can offer many benefits and lessons for the United States, as well as the rest of the world. Thank you for listening to my report. I hope it was very informative, and thank you.